The paradox of not knowing nothing makes sense anymore. And maybe that is the most honest sign that something real is truly beginning. Because clarity doesn't disappear randomly. Meaning doesn't dissolve without a reason. Uncertainty never arrives without carrying a purpose. You no longer recognize your old desires. The goals you once chased now feel unfamiliar, like clothes you've outgrown but haven't taken off yet. The future you once imagined, the one that used to pull you forward with certainty, no longer holds any weight. You try to care. You try to want what you used to want. But something inside you refuses to pretend anymore. You are not lost in the way people usually think of being lost. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are suspended between who you once were and who you have not yet become. And here is the paradox most people never hear. Uncertainty is not a lack of direction. It is the moment just before direction reveals itself. Before clarity can form, certainty must dissolve. Before a new identity appears, the old one has to loosen its grip. If you are in that space right now, where clarity has faded, motivation has gone quiet, and meaning feels distant, this message is for you, because this is not a collapse. This is the in-between. The feeling you can't explain. Let's name it honestly. You wake up and nothing feels wrong. But nothing feels right either. There is no crisis, no dramatic breakdown, no obvious reason to panic. Your life might even look fine from the outside. You're functioning. You're showing up. You're doing what needs to be done. But inside, something has gone quiet. Not loud enough for anyone else to notice, just quiet enough to unsettle you. The things that once excited you don't anymore. Conversations feel thinner. Achievements feel strangely empty, as if they arrive but never truly land. You may catch yourself staring into space, feeling disconnected in moments that should have mattered. And eventually, a question forms. Soft at first, then persistent. Why do I feel disconnected when everything is technically fine? That question carries more weight than it seems, because there is no clear answer. And the most unsettling part, you can't explain this feeling to anyone else. There's no obvious problem to point to, no clean story to tell. So you keep going, smiling, producing, performing. You do what's expected, while quietly feeling like you're standing in fog. No map, no signal, no direction, just waiting. This is the part no one prepares you for. Why nothing makes sense right now. Here's the truth beneath the uncertainty. Your old framework for meaning has expired, and the mind hates that. The mind craves continuity, labels, certainty, timelines. It wants to know, where is this all going? But life doesn't evolve in straight lines. It moves through thresholds, moments when the old identity no longer fits, but the new one hasn't fully arrived yet. Ancient cultures called this a liminal space, a doorway between two worlds, a phase where roles dissolve, where certainty thins, where identity becomes fluid. Psychology calls it identity disintegration. Neuroscience calls it neural reorganization. Spiritual traditions call it the void. Different languages, same experience. When growth is real, life removes the instructions. Because if you still had the map, you would stay the same person. Here's what's happening underneath it all. Your mind is designed to keep you safe, not to help you evolve. Safety, to the nervous system, often means predictable. Even if the predictable life is unhappy, even if it's too small for you, even if it's built on coping mechanisms and survival patterns. So when the old identity begins to dissolve, your system can react like danger is near. That's why the in-between can feel restless. Why you might overthink at night. Why you might feel pulled to fill every silence. Not because you're weak, because your body is trying to restore what it recognizes. But growth doesn't feel recognizable. Growth feels like stepping into darkness before your eyes adjust. The void is not empty. This is when people start to panic. They think, I've lost my purpose. I've lost my passion. I've lost myself. But what you've actually lost is the version of you that no longer fits. And that loss feels frightening only because it's unfamiliar. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. There's a moment, raw, exposed, vulnerable, when the old skin is gone and the new one hasn't hardened yet. From the outside, that moment looks like weakness, but it isn't. It's reorganization. Nothing makes sense because your inner system is being rewritten. Your values are rearranging. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your intuition is tuning itself to a deeper frequency. And rewriting doesn't feel like progress. It feels like silence. Think of the moon. There's a phase where it disappears. Not because it's gone, not because it failed, but because it's turning. The light returns only after the turning is complete. The in-between is not emptiness. It's rotation. It's rearrangement. It's the soul moving into a new angle of truth. The mistake most people make. When we feel off course, the biggest mistake most of us make is trying to escape this phase at any cost. We throw ourselves into work to forget. We fill empty space with shopping, distractions, or shallow pleasures. Or we get trapped in endless loops of overthinking. We try to force motivation to come back. We rush to find clarity. We demand immediate answers from life. Inside our heads, the same thoughts repeat. I have to figure this out. I need to get back on track. I need to become who I used to be. But here's the truth that changes everything. You don't go back from here. You go through. Trying to hold on to past certainty is like forcing a flower to bloom before its season. The uncertainty you feel isn't a system failure. It's the necessary pause between breaths, the silence between musical notes that allows a melody to exist. It's the only quiet space where something deeper and more honest inside you can finally speak. Carl Jung had a word for this. Individuation. Not becoming better, becoming more whole. And wholeness doesn't arrive through constant momentum. It arrives when the mask breaks, when the persona, the version of you built to be liked, safe, successful, approved, starts to crack. And beneath it, the real self begins to breathe. The void is often the space where the mask can no longer hold. The river of transition, letting go as the way. Forward, imagine standing between two shores of your life. Behind you is familiar ground, old habits, old roles, and definitions of success you once clung to tightly. Ahead of you is a landscape still covered in mist. Not chaos, just not ready to reveal itself yet. Beneath your feet is water. Not water meant to drown you, but water meant to carry you. This is the river of transition. It's quietly moving your identity from an old form into a new one. In this uncertain moment, instead of exhausting yourself trying to swim as fast as possible out of fear, choose to float. Floating can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you're doing nothing. But when you stop forcing, you begin to feel the intelligence of the current. Don't obsess over the far shore. This river already knows where it's taking you. When positive advice stops working, There are seasons in life when motivational videos, inspirational quotes, and productivity tips suddenly feel empty. You hear them, but they don't reach you anymore. The reason is simple. Those tools are designed for forward motion. But right now, you're not meant to move forward. You're meant to go deeper. You're not in a race. You're in an inner transformation. It's like trying to navigate a new city with an outdated map. At this stage, every attempt to fix yourself or push harder only leaves you more exhausted. Instead of becoming busier, life is asking you for something harder: quiet awareness. Learn to listen inward instead of chasing external standards. And don't be afraid if everything feels unclear or directionless right now. Meaning only reveals itself after the shift is complete, never before. Be patient with your own silence. What this phase is quietly teaching you. This space is teaching you trust without evidence, presence without purpose, being without becoming. And that terrifies the ego, because the ego survives on identity, labels, and future projections. But the soul grows in stillness, in moments when you stop asking, "What should I do?" and begin listening. What is dissolving? The void doesn't demand action. It asks for honesty. The shift from fear to allowing. Here's the perspective that changes everything. This phase isn't asking you to fix anything. It's asking you to stop interfering, stop forcing meaning, stop demanding clarity, stop judging the quiet. The moment you allow uncertainty without labeling it as failure, it begins to soften. And in that softness, understanding appears, not loud, but steady, not as a plan, not as a timeline, but as a felt direction, like stars that only appear once the darkness is deep enough. The Stoics taught something simple. You can't control life, but you can control your relationship with life. You can't control the wave, but you can learn how to surf it. Allowing isn't passive, it's powerful. It's saying, I don't need to know everything right now to keep moving with integrity. What happens when you stop resisting? When you stop fighting this phase, something subtle shifts. You become more present, more observant, less reactive. You start noticing synchronicities you would have missed before. Conversations deepen. Questions begin to matter more than answers. Your intuition sharpens. Not because you force it, but because you finally create space to hear it. Life starts speaking through symbols instead of commands. And slowly, almost without noticing, the fog begins to lift. Not all at once, but enough to take the next step, where true alignment begins. Alignment doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives as relief, a quiet realization. Oh, this feels right. You stop rushing. You stop chasing clarity. You let clarity come to you. And when it does, it fits in ways your old plans never could. Because real clarity isn't mental. It's embodied. A relaxed body, an open chest, a calm heartbeat. When your body feels lighter, that's how you know you're aligned, from looking right to feeling right. If you try to skip this uncertain phase in search of full safety, life will bring it back again, in another form. Confusion repeats itself until it's met with presence. But if you stay, if you breathe with the uncertainty, if you allow yourself not to know, something transformative happens. You emerge less performative, less fragmented, more whole. You stop building a life that only looks right to others and begin living a life that feels right to you. Don't fear the silence. That's where truth begins to speak. Soft closing. If these words resonated, If something inside you felt seen, like and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for your own alignment. Because messages like this don't arrive randomly. They arrive when you're ready to trust what's unfolding. You are not lost. You are becoming.